concept is to drive these remotely controlled bodies called avatars. They're grown from human DNA, mixed with DNA of the natives.
Marine in an avatar body. That's a potent mix.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's a little bit of the trailer for Avatar, the #1 movie at the box office, the all-time most expensive film ever, $500 million, made by top director James Cameron. The issue here is that this film is pure propaganda. It is a global government message. The UN has stated on record that they want to set up a global Gaia religion to sell the population of the earth to have less resources instead of developing new resources. And the movie says that the earth is dead and that humans are bad. And it has an anti-military message. It has an anti-imperial message that is healthy. The anti-military message isn't overall healthy, but the anti-imperialism, the anti-Iraq war message is healthy. And this, of course, was being produced during the last few years of George Bush's administration. But it is total occultism with shaman ceremonies, with the horned god male and the goddess female, and it is just pure propaganda. And I'm sure James Cameron means well, along with Sigourney Weaver and others. They think a Gaia religion is good, and they think that we're using too many resources. And there is a kernel of truth that there are destructive things going on with the environment. The problem is the global corporations behind the phony environmental movement openly want world population reduction and want to set up a system to destroy the industrial society, which will kill hundreds of millions of people per decade conservatively. And I show you all the numbers and mainline headlines in that 10-minute video we posted yesterday, at Infowars.com about the Copenhagen Summit. We show that. And most of your Hollywood movies, what children are taught in public schools, what is pushed everywhere, going green really means giving up your resources to the banks, letting them lower your standard of living to bankrupt you, to make you dependent on them. Meanwhile, the big environmental front groups are funded by the oil companies and others. They don't warn you about real environmental problems like cross-species genetic engineering and things that can actually cause problems. Or the Hadron Super Collider, which their own scientists admit could create reactions thousands of times more powerful than the biggest hydrogen bomb or hydrogen warhead. Or in the San Francisco Chronicle, the Air Force admitting they're secretly developing antimatter weapons and that they've isolated antimatter. I mean, these are things that could really destroy the planet or really damage our civilization. Nothing is being done about that. They get you hyped up about real environmental issues. They dress it up in kind of a Wounded Knee / Pocahontas story about the evil Westerners coming in and hurting the Native Americans. My daughter, I took her to see the movie. She said, yeah, it was kind of like the story of Pocahontas. And that's what it is. It's kind of like a John Wayne movie / the story of Pocahontas, all mixed in with this indigenous alien species fighting the evil warmongers. And then a dictatorship of good scientists take over the planet and kick out the evil military at the end. And this film, of course, was designed to come out right now to push this whole global religion that Al Gore has openly called for. Again, I think that the people involved in the film, James Cameron and others, they mean well. That's why the globalists are so powerful, is they sell so many people on this idea. They mix in this phony environmental message with an anti-exploitation message, an anti-imperialism message, an anti-militarism message. And so it's very effective programming. Tens of millions of people are now watching this movie per week. Millions of people are now being indoctrinated into the new global religion. And this idea is being sold that you're a hero, you're a wonderful person if you embrace this and get involved in this. And then you go join the modern environmental movement, and all that happens is your well-meaning actions then get co-opted by the IMF and World Bank that have chosen to set up a global financial and economic dictatorship through the environmental movement. And they've stated this, that Copenhagen and global taxes and green initiatives that have nothing to do with green initiatives, and they candy coated in electric cars and wind turbines and things that sound reasonable and sound like progress, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do, how do you think a private global corporate system is going to sell the people on relinquishing control of their lives? They're going to do it through a trendy, well-meaning, well-sounding environmental movement. If Avatar wanted to be accurate, it would show a group of humans landing on a planet, or a planetoid, in this case it's a moon, orbiting a gas giant, and it would show the corporations being slick propagandists and going to the indigenous people that are concerned about their environment and in harmony with their Gaia that they worship. And the corporation would land, send in their avatars to infiltrate through forced multiplication, posing as the indigenous population, and they would tell them, you are hurting the environment, indigenous people. You must stop using resources. You must all move to one reservation to save your planet. Only so they could then herd them in, imprison them, and then mine the whole moon. If you wanted to have a realistic movie of how things really work, that's how it works. The global corporation is mining the moon, is extracting all the resources, genetically modifying the entire genome of the planet and the entire biosphere, wrecking it. But they convince the natives to give up their weapons and to move to a reservation and to be sterilized. That's the only way the corporation in this fictitious science fiction movie, which has incredible special effects and incredible environment that the writers of this film and the writers of the screenplay developed. I mean, it's a powerful film. It's powerful propaganda. But see, instead, it's an evil corporation taking over, wrecking the environment, and they send out this group of people wired in to these biomechanical, genetically engineered creatures that mimic the indigenous creatures, and they can't seem to infiltrate them right until this one Marine infiltrates and falls in love with Pocahontas. That's the same story, you know, the daughter of the chief, and then he becomes the chief, and then they wage war and kick the evil humans off. This is an anti-human, anti-development story. Ladies and gentlemen, I have read the Royal Commission from '49 when the British eugenicists, this is public, said, if we industrialize the third world, they'll stop burning down all their forests, they'll stop using up their resources, they will stop having 4 children, they'll start having 1.3, as the West has done. But then they'll become self-sufficient and we can't control them. Instead, we'll go in, keep them suppressed, they'll have a bunch of kids, they will chew up the environment, but it's regenerating. The planet was born in fire and atomic radiation, folks. It's very hard to kill the life on this planet. And they know that the reason we have 6,700,000,000 people is because of the globalization system suppressing the third world. They know that if they truly brought in clean technologies, truly developed the third world, truly educated them, they would stop having as many children if you believe we're overpopulated. But with technology and creating dense urban systems, you could actually support 10, 20, 30 billion. And all the top scientists agree on this. But that doesn't matter. World population is going to plane off in 2020 at 8,400,000,000 to 600,000,000. And the globalists know that. But instead, they want to accelerate a program to train everyone to only have one child by law, to be sterilized, to be controlled under a technological control grid under the guise of an ecological system that's in harmony. We'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central.